Welcome to another edition of Hawk Off the Press after the final score. I'm John Steppe, joined by Mike Hlas. Not exactly the type of game that I think any of the people in that sellout Kinnick crowd were hoping for.
I wouldn't assume they would. I mean, when you consider what was lost.
Yeah.
The biggest dream that you can have, going to the National College playoffs, that is pretty much on the rocks.
Yeah.
The number 2 ranking, which felt pretty great around here for a whole week, that's gone. I mean, they're going to tumble.
Partying like it's 1985, yeah, not anymore.
Yeah. And, you can say all you want about, well, they can still do this, and this. Okay. Yeah, if they're perfect.
Yeah.
But there's no margin of error anymore, and reality kind of bites, I guess.
And when you look at this performance, it showed a lot of imperfections for Iowa. Whether that was passing the ball, whether that's running the ball, whether it was defense when you don't force turnovers.
Or blocking.
Yeah, that too.
I mean, as good as Tyler Linderbaum is, he's the best center in the country, maybe the best offensive lineman. Their offensive line unit as a whole is substandard to Iowa's norm. Petras got sacked 4 more times today. That's 18 this season.
It's a lot. Games. And there were a lot of quarterback hurries, too, that didn't go down statistically.
And there wasn't, the running game's not there. They averaged 2.5 yards a rush. That, I don't care who you are, you can't sustain that and win.
Yeah. It's a tough way to go through that.
It was one terrible day, but look, we can't pretend that everybody didn't wonder what happens the day the defense doesn't bring it.
Yeah.
And it didn't bring it. It didn't bring anything. It got picked apart. Purdue threw for 378 yards, only turned the ball over once, and Iowa's defense wasn't responsible for that. That was a gift on the pylon play at the end zone that they fumbled away that was this close to being another touchdown.
Really an obscure rule that,
I'd never seen it before, but
I think I saw it once in like an NFL game, and I think that was it. It's a really rare... Yeah. And it really is an odd one, too, because if you fumble it into the pylon, the fact that just wouldn't be, down at the 1. But it's considered that
it could have been one of the biggest plays in Iowa history if the offense had turned around and taken it downfield and tightened the game up.
Yeah.
Not even close.
No.
Purdue shrugged it off like dandruff, proceeded to go about its business of picking Iowa apart. And did. They had almost 200 more yards than the Hawkeyes.
And the incredible thing, too, is Iowa had some opportunities there. Twice, they had the ball at the 10 or closer and didn't score points off it. And this is if those 2 drives go differently, where they don't have to settle for the field goal, which then was in windy conditions, but still uncharacteristic of Caleb Shudak to miss. If you take that and change it, you take the time when it was, 3rd and 1?
Yeah,
and
that to me was the game in its essence. Iowa had a third and 2 at the Purdue 11.
Oh, yeah, because then it was 4th and 1.
Petras gets 1 yard on a keeper, and then on 4th and 1 at the 10, he gets nothing.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time Iowa was held to 1 yard on a keeper, but 2 straight plays, the line couldn't give them what they needed when they needed it the most.
And the incredible thing, too, is that's a play that's had a lot of success for Iowa in the past. But when you're flat out losing the battle at the line of scrimmage...
Oh, yeah, where's the handoff to the tailback and you knock some bodies around and he gets you those 2 yards? And we're talking Purdue. Purdue has got a good defense.
Mm-hmm.
Statistically, it came into this game with great numbers, but... there was one number where it didn't, and that was takeaways, where it ranked last in America with two takeaways in 5 games, 130th out of 130, and they pick off Petras 4 times. Meanwhile, Iowa ranks 1st in the nation in takeaways with 20. It gets 1.
Yes, and on the technicality.
Yeah, the gift.
Yeah, it shows this team has a lot to improve on, and they have the bye week, which will help, but still, I think every Big Ten West team that's left on the schedule is me pretty closely watching this film.
I think so. Let's not lose sight of the fact they won 12 straight games. That's not a run-of-the-mill occurrence. Not in Iowa, not at almost anywhere in America. That's something.
Yeah.
They got to number 2 in the country. That's something. But it's what have you done for me lately? And what they did for him lately was they didn't follow up that magical day, as Ferentz called it, against Penn State. He did use that word Tuesday. They didn't follow up on it. They didn't build on it. They didn't seize the moment. They didn't capitalize on everything. They had the nation looking on them and looking pretty fondly. There was a lot of great press for Iowa around the country. I don't care what you know or respect people say. You're wrong. I read it. I heard it. There were a lot of people who said that was really something here last Saturday, and they liked it. And then they basically just punted it down Melrose Avenue.
Yeah. It was, punt it or miss a field goal or fail on a quarterback sneak on 4th and 1.
And Purdue played a great game.
Yeah.
They played an absolutely wonderful game using a 3-quarterback system, something I have never seen in my life and never will again, but it worked.
Yeah, especially in that one drive where I think it was like O'Connell and then Plummer and then Burton.
Yeah.
And then it's like switched between them like 8 times, it felt like.
At one point in the first half, Purdue's top 3 rushers were all quarterbacks. Hey, whatever it takes, you know.
It worked.
And then David Bell. We've gone this far without mentioning him. Oh, my God. 11 for 240.
And the incredible thing, too, is 11 on 12 targets.
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Only once when they wanted it to go to Bell, did it not work. And that's the incredible part to me.
He worked Iowa's defense something terrible. He worked Matt Hankins, who got all those national awards in the past week. But on this day, Bell was a better player. And what's nutty is he had 11 catches today. That was his fewest catches against Iowa in 3 games. The 240 yards was a high water mark, but his 2 biggest games career-wise yardage are both against Iowa. Phil Parker's defense can do a lot of wonderful things, but it hasn't been able to solve Jeff Brohm's offense.
No.
Purdue's won 4 of the last 5 against Iowa, and Brohm is 4-1 against Iowa. He's 12-19 against the rest of the Big Ten.
That's quite the stat there.
Yeah.
It really, Purdue has just had Iowa's number. So.
Yeah, so we all get a bye week.
I think both of us won't mind having the week to kind of catch our breaths. I think that Iowa will most definitely, after this one, enjoy their week, and really a banged up team too, where Matt Hankins, if he doesn't get hurt early on, it could be a different game for him.
Probably, but you know what? Penn State had important players get hurt the week before, and you deal with it. You know, you have to deal with it.
Yeah. So Hankins might not have been 100%, but still, as you said, you deal with it.
Yeah.
And you've got other players like Terry Roberts, who Kirk Ferentz has basically said he's a starter, but we just don't have a starter spot on the depth chart for. Well, now he's got the spot on the depth chart as long as Riley Moss is out.
Yeah, they got the better of him on occasion too. I mean, look, 31 of 43 for 378. It doesn't take a lot of analysis. They just they had the short stuff, but they hit long when they needed to. You know? That's credit to them. I mean, that's a terrific win for them. Just terrific.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for this edition of After the Final Score. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back with another edition of Hawk Off the Press next week.